I hope you can see all my screen. So,
yeah.
And what we at INPERA doing actually is we're trying to connect the industry, and we are trying to connect all the different processes together, which are used during the construction and procurement process. Because so far we heard a lot about digital twins and BIM integration and stuff like this, and I think that right now also the procurement process is pretty much underestimated somehow, because it's very, very important. And if we take a look why we do it, we can see that we have a huge market there in construction. Just to give you some numbers to get the idea about, it's about the 250 billion of euros in construction, for example, in Germany during an average during the last years. And what we then can see is, if we talk about efficiency of construction at all, which is the middle diagram, then you can see that we have a plus of nearly 100% of projects, but only a plus of 63% of projects built. So why does this gap come from, and how does it happen? Actually, it happens because the industry is not that efficient and really on top of capacity. So there is missing field workers, there is missing engineers, there's missing capacity to create more, let's say, resources to do the construction work. And when you also then compare the industry to other industries like the global economy at all, or for example, other manufacturers like car makers, e-commerce and all this stuff, in the index about efficiency, it's quite low. It's almost one of the lowest efficient industries at all globally seen. And why does it come from? Where does it come from? Actually, it comes because they do a lot of things twice. They do a lot of manual work. They do a lot of, let's say, less communication between the different players which are involved in the project. So we had heard before that we have some planners, they are doing CAD models, and we have companies trying to create digital twins at the beginning that they can represent a building, how it will be. But the important point now is how it will be. And because let's say the step between the planning, a digital twin in planning, and reality, like operations at the end, is the construction itself. And therefore you need material, you need workers to place material. We also heard before about the company which is dealing about finding errors during the construction process. But also we have to make sure that the correct materials and products are on site, that they can be done correctly. And this is not that often the case, and this is where the problem comes from. So the situation we have is that we have a lot of problems in procurement, which are coming from a lot of analog handling of all these procurement processes, because we are in construction industry. They are still sending faxes, they are writing tons of emails, they are doing handwritten changes on quotations and stuff like this. And what we try to do is we try to bring all them together in a very simplified procurement process in one platform, so that we have the same data all the players can work with. So this means we are focusing on simplifying the quotation process by bringing in some automated steps, like if you have quotations given to a similar project, we suggest to the user, you already did this kind of quotation, do you want to use maybe the same material for the next project? We are doing some visualization for the persons who are analyzing the quotations, which is the one I'm going further with, which I'm buying and stuff like this. We are trying to connect them together during this collaboration phase in the procurement process, which means when they have to negotiate about materials and prices for services and stuff like this. When they are working on yearly termed prices and things. So, and the third pylon we have is about then the procurement process itself, which means that we are bringing in automatic processes between the buyers and the sellers. So, because when you take a look at the typical construction process or construction project today, you have the planner, you have like a general contractor company or the big construction companies. You have a lot of subcontractors, small construction companies, from people doing just electricity, the flooring, the plumbing, whatever. you have the retailers delivering all the material, and you have the industry producing materials like concrete, windows, switches, all this stuff you can imagine, which has to fit then at the end in this kind of building. And all along this process chain, you have a lot of communication going on about ordering, about negotiation and stuff like this. And this is all done more or less analog today. So because even the big construction companies with let's say 100,000 of workers, for example, they are sometimes still using fax to do an order at a retailer to get material on site. And this produces a lot of failures, mistyping when they enter material information into their ERP systems and stuff like this. And at the end of the day, it means wrong material on construction site, or too less material, or too much, or at the wrong date, or at the wrong place. And then you have all these delays in the process also, you already know. And what we do is we connect the industry together by just allowing them to use the same data pool to do all this, the tendering, the ordering, and at the end, the procurement and all. So, and what we offer is a platform, software as a service and a middleware platform where we connect the manufacturers to this platform via a kind of API, so that we are connected to their product catalogs and to their product data. We connect to the retailer, to the big retailers. For example, right now we are talking to two of the biggest retail groups in Germany, which together do like it's 3.5 billion euros in turnover of material. And we connect them also with an API to our system. And we are connecting the building and construction companies, even if they have an ERP system or without one. So because we have the two layers, and we have this kind of backend layer, which is used for this automatic connection between all the players. And we have this front-end layer for the small companies. For example, when we talk about a typical electrician company, and they are doing all the wiring of the building, in most of the cases, it's small groups, like a few people, and they are going there on construction site and doing their work, but they don't have a kind of big ERP system in the back end telling them what material they need, what is exactly the order and stuff like this. And with our solution, we enable them to be part of this data pool, and they can enter the information about what they are ordering, what they are using, and all is in the same data pool of this project. So this means we always have as a central place, or let's say as a central source of truth, our project in the cloud, and there you have all the different nodes connected together. And why is it so, let's say, game-changing to what is done in the past is that we are not using a single source of product data, which was actually the, let's say, the wish of the industry during the past 20 years. And they tried to get, let's say, a single numbering scheme like you have in textile or electronics, like an EIN code, or also in retail. But it's not suitable to use an EIN code, because all the retailers will not give, let's say, a ton of concrete an EIN code, or they will not give a handful of stones an EIN code. And this is not working so far. And the problem the industry has is that they cannot do a fully automated procurement, because they cannot speak together. It's like speaking Chinese and German, and they want to do an order process. And what we do is now, actually, if we compare it to this Chinese and German, we're just sitting in the middle and we translate. So this means, when you just look at this picture here, is when you are in a tendering process, you have different suppliers and they have different numbering schemes and let's say terms how they identify their products. And what we do during this tendering process, they are doing quotations on a specific position of the specification of a building. And we connect them together, their products with this position, and build this kind of virtual product on our platform. And this is all driven by some kind of artificial intelligence, checking if this is the same product, if it's already reused, suggesting different ones and stuff like this. And what we have at the end is a combination between the specification which is coming out from CAD, which could also be a BIM, model, for example, with the product list and the direct connection to the on-the-market available product at retail or manufacturer side. And when you then go and order a specific material, what you need for doing the project, then we will translate again into the, let's say, product information the retailer or the supplier or the manufacturer needs and do the correct ordering terms for them. So this means you don't need to know, for example, as a planner, the exact identification of a product. You just need to know what you got offered to this position, and then you have all you need to do the fully automated ordering process. And what this will lead to is also that we can give at the beginning of a design phase or of a planning phase of a product, based on all this information we have from the offering, that we can also give the planners and the architects some, for example, pre-calculation information about price and what do they have to expect, what price a specific product or material or part can be when they use it. And on the other hand, we can allow the retailers and the manufacturers to get fully electronic orders. This is something they try to achieve now during the last 10 years by starting some e-commerce products, some web shop solutions. But the problem was always in the past that, let's say, the responsible field worker on construction site don't want to click together like you do when you go Amazon shopping, the list of products and materials they need for next week for construction. But what we can do now is, since it's all defined in the tendering process, we have an already defined, let's say, product basket of the whole project with all the, let's say, few thousands of articles and products and materials which are necessary to build this project and this building. And what they can do then, what I mentioned before, is just the field worker can just go there and according to the different construction phases, they can just look it up. Okay, today we are doing all the flooring of the first layer, and then they can look up in, for example, a mobile app and say, okay, the material assigned to this is like this, the woods, the panels, the glue, all this stuff, and they can just order them with one click at a predefined price and predefined retailer, the material that gets on-site delivered for constructing then, for example, on the next week. And they don't need to select, they're just using this predefined material basket. And what this brings also as an advantage then, let's say in terms of operational state of the project, is that actually we can create this kind of real digital twin. Because today the situation is you have the digital twin only at the beginning of the construction project, also at the end, but you're not sure if it's the same product in there. So, for example, you have specific products in the building which has some kind of maintenance periods you have to take care about in the operational state, like if there are some air conditioning wells or stuff like this, which usually has a maintenance period like 2 years and stuff. But if it's a different product with, let's say, a maintenance period of 1 year, you don't know, because during this procurement process, in the past, it happens a lot that not the original planned products are really went into the building at the end of the day, because during this, some player in between, like the construction company or the subcontractor, just choose a different product with same specification, but with maybe a slight difference. And so what we know is, since we know all the products exactly by identification of the manufacturer and the retailer, we know exactly at the end what was used to build this building. And so we can also hand over this information to the operations people of a building, and can tell them exactly what is in the building, what material is used, what type of concrete, what window, what wiring, and all this stuff. And there is no need to find it out at a later stage. So it wasn't mentioned today, but there are also, for example, startups which are only dealing with this term of problem, that they are trying, how can I get all the information of how is the the building actually constructed. And what we can tell them, okay, we have a full list of all the material and all the products which went into the project. So this gives a huge possibility in terms of operational data in the future. And of course, for all the players, you can have a big possibility about analyzing this data, about where you can, let's say, pimp up a little bit your procurement process, where you can talk about prices. You can then, of course, for the retailers, have this kind of advantage. They know better about all the warehouse movements, which material is going well, which is not turning that well, and stuff like this. And all of them can using the same data and work together without all the usual media breaks they have today. And because if you talk to a lot of companies today, you get information that they are actually wasting a lot of time just by correcting these kind of failures, by trying to sourcing material and trying to do all this administrative work which has to be done when you need to procure all the material for a project. And so this is what we are trying to do. And right now we are building up this cloud solution, because we are in a very early stage, to say. So we are approaching the market in Germany today and this year, and are trying to establish this kind of system and to bring all together the big players in there and also the small ones, to provide them with this kind of solution that they have this advantage of a real digital procurement process, which is quite used in other industries, but not so far in construction industry. And this is what we are going to do, and what we are trying to establish in the industry. Yeah.
Hey, Richard. Well, that's amazing. How are things going right now to do this in construction? Because I know we're a little bit conservative, and this is, as you said, relatively new for our industry. Yeah. So how do you see this as being adapted?
First of all, we had, and this I really can say, because of the pandemic situation, we had this brought a huge impact to us, because when we talk, let's say, to construction companies before, they're all, oh, why do we need this? We have all under control and everything is fine. But right now, with the pandemic situation, that people are working from home, they one of a sudden got totally lost of their information, because they have a lot of procurement information in the private email post boxes of employees. They have a lot of information on paper faxes somewhere in the office, and they cannot get the information because they were lost, actually. So this was a huge impact for us, because now when we tell them, for example, that we have a centralized place where they have all their procurement information, it's like, yes, this is what we need. So actually industry is really, really good listening to this topic. But of course, we have to get very deeply into this kind of procurement processes, and it has to be a slight change, because they have to adapt a bit to this. But what we can say so far with our first pilot customers is that they are very well adapting as soon as they see the advantage. For example, we having a test drive with I can mention it's Bauking, one of the biggest retail groups in Germany, and they can reduce the amount of time they need to do all the tendering and doing the quotations for the tenders they got to almost 30%. So this means a huge.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's like about it's roughly about they can now save 70% of the time, and this means they can do a lot more quotations. They can be part of a lot more projects. And at the end of the day, for them, it's more business, and they can avoid double work and stuff like this. Because also in the past, when you just have to imagine you have a retail group with a few hundred employees, and a few hundred employees are doing this kind of quotation, they do a lot of double work when they receive it manually. And they had the situation, really, it's like about 30 to 40%, this is the numbers we get. They said we are doing quotations double just because we don't know that another employee is working on it. And this we can totally move out. And so they have a huge impact in saving time and money at the end. And right now, we can see that slightly the industry is not only listening to the topic, but they're also seeing the advantage, because let's say the factor of process costs are more and more important as soon as they have working on capacity limit and a lot more small projects and stuff like this, because also the construction industry is more and more a bit turning to also an on-demand industry, like you have in electronics and car and all this stuff. And therefore, you need to bring down the process costs. And this is what they are now realizing slightly. And it's going quite well.
Cool. So you started in Germany. PropTech One is also one of the companies you work together with to really create this visibility. And I think they did also invest in you or not?
Yes. PropTech One is one of our investors we have. We have a few others also in the field. We have investors from the industry itself, construction companies, and we just closed a funding round by beginning of the year, which brought us enough funds then again to end of the year, and at the end of the year then we will do hopefully our next Series A round.
Cool. So you started off in Germany?
Yeah, correct. And we are also... Sorry?
Which other countries are you in right now, and what are the plans for the future?
Actually, right now we are in Germany because we try to settle this kind of market in a way that we have a lot of feedback for the product in the first version and stuff like this. So, and we will be in Germany roughly about this year, and we will start to expand then by beginning of next year. It will be Spain, Italy, something in France, and in UK we are still thinking about, because the situation right now is not getting easier.
No.
But it will be that we will slowly expand by next year into Europe.
Well, cool. Well, sounds very great, and I think it's a great opportunity for construction companies to really start working together with you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day there in Germany.
Thanks. Same to you. Bye-bye.